Bianca.
And we are at Club Sapphire. This is an exciting video because of that outfit.
It's exciting because of that?
Yeah, for no other reason than to talk about this outfit, because you've had some good outfits in the past, but this just really does a good job with your cleavage and such.
Oh, that's all?
Well, I mean, the rest of you is fine too, but the cleavage is looking really good.
Okay, because it usually doesn't.
No. So what's the deal with that?
Oh, well, it's fetish night tonight.
It's fetish night.
Club Sapphire, and this is about, I thought I would kind of go more dom today. So I did bring, I don't have it with me right now, but I did bring my crop.
You did bring your crop?
Yeah.
Okay, so you plan on beating people with it?
No.
Or just looking, just chewing on it and doing sexy?
I don't know what I plan to do with it yet.
Okay. All right, because in the last video we talked about all the crops and all the fun toys that people play with here at Sapphire, which if you haven't seen that video, it's definitely worth watching. So you have your crop.
I do.
Okay.
It's pink.
It's pink, of course.
Shocker.
It's pink. Yeah, like everything else that you own is
right.
pink. So that's kind of fun. So okay, and we've never been to a fetish night before.
No, I'm very excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
That should be a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, we've seen fetish themes on cruises and stuff, and the costumes or outfits or whatever you want to call them are always really awesome. I love people watching.
Well, now when we have gone to those fetish nights in the past, it's always been kind of a question mark, because for example, this is, I don't have really a fetish outfit on, but like the black leather and the ball gags and that type of thing isn't really my thing. However,
so you like to dress up like a little sailor boy.
Yes, exactly. That's my
the
fetish.
Big lollipop.
Well, I have seen, and we've talked about this in the past, that fetish can mean different things to different people. And so, just because when you hear the kind of generic fetish night, and you think of people in black and leather, and guys with the masks over with the little zippers over their mouths and that type of thing, and you
ball gag on you.
You with a leash, and me you on your hands and knees, just me whipping you with a stick.
That would never happen.
Kind of hot though. I'm just saying. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it is those types of things. You have worn on fetish nights in the past schoolgirl outfits, and nurse outfits, and police officer outfits, and you've had me in military uniforms, because that's your hot thing. You've actually, I think one time,
I've tried to get you to wear a tuxedo.
Yeah, I was just going to say that is that to you, a tuxedo is the most sexy thing that a guy can wear.
Right.
So that's that is your fetish. You see a guy in a tuxedo and you are instantly dripping all over the floor, and they need napkins, and so it's a good note.
That's not a true story, by the way. But I do like tuxedos.
So yeah, so if that is your fetish, there's nothing wrong with wearing that
right.
to an event like this, and any future fetish nights, because honestly, those things to me are way hotter. It's if I see, although schoolgirl night is overdone and you see it all the time, I love it, because that one never gets tired of me. That is totally a fetish of mine. Now being a massage therapist though, that's kind of my fetish thing going on. So I don't know how I would incorporate that into a fetish. Now, if I had my little thing, my holster with the oil,
everybody that walks by,
with a shirt that says massage therapist.
Yeah, you can do that. Wear scrubs.
That's hot. Yeah. No. Just
wear your uniform.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's exciting that we're doing that. We're doing that tonight, and there's a lot of really cool events coming up at Sapphire that we're really excited about.
Check out the calendar for sure.
Absolutely. Now, we wanted to talk about in this video a question that comes up all the time with new people that we see, that we meet very often. Sapphire has a lot of new people that come in on a weekly basis, honestly, and they do have a Swinging 101 event that happens once a month, but we wanted to talk about, from our perspective, what we've seen and what other people have brought to our attention when they are new. So the big question is, if someone messages us and says, how do I get my spouse into swinging, what would you tell them?
Well, there's many different ways. You kind of have to go with what works for you and your spouse. Obviously, you're going to want to tiptoe around it a little bit, and possibly have a glass of wine or two, some privacy. One of the ways that I think would be a great way to bring it up would be If you're wanting to bring this up, most of the time you guys are probably very sexual people.
Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. There are times where someone will, they have a lot of closed-in sexuality and they want to be more sexual, or one of the two people wants to be more sexual, and so they want to kind of push it towards the conversation of the quieter one. Sorry,
Okay.
Go ahead.
When you bring it up, but usually if you're thinking about this, maybe you're a couple that already experiments in the bedroom. I was going to say bathroom. Please don't experiment in the bathroom.
Nice.
In the bedroom. Maybe you bring toys into the bedroom. Maybe she likes to wear sexy lingerie. That kind of stuff. Like, what I'm saying right now is I'm pulling from like what we would be. So if I were to bring it up to you or you were to bring it up to me, an easy way to do it, because we were already, before we were in the lifestyle, experimental at some points, where I would buy sexy lingerie and surprise you when you get home,
Right.
or, things like that. We would talk about different things. We would read books. We would watch porn together, this kind of stuff. So we've already got our relationship into bringing this up.
Right.
So wouldn't it be kind of easy to just say, hey, I found this club online. What do you think about going to this social club that allows sex? As a couple, the two of you go together. So you're safe with your buddy. You're planning. This isn't about bringing up. You're not saying, hey, let's become swingers. Let's go fuck other people. You're saying, let's go into this sexually charged environment and meet other people who might want to talk about, or not. Like, come here, get the tour, stand in the corner and watch what happens. Get on the dance floor, dance a bit, have a drink, and then go in the back. Take a look around. Go into one of the, depending on how adventurous you guys are, go into one of the bigger rooms with tons of beds. Fuck in the middle, or fuck in one of the bunk beds. Or if you're just like sexually charged but you're not ready for that yet, go in one of the closed off rooms. It's a nice stepping stone. I think an easy way to say to your spouse that you're wanting to kind of experiment a little bit, but without, you still have the safety of it. It's just going to be the two of us. You haven't even brought up swinging or switching partners or anything.
Right.
So at this point, it's a safe place to just come explore your sexuality with your partner.
Well, it's interesting. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish.
I think that's actually a very good idea. In fact, I'm just kind of putting myself back into like my brain 6-7 years ago before we did anything swinging wise, and that probably would have worked, honestly.
I agree.
I'm just trying to remember, like, when we first started everything. I mean, we can talk about how we got into swinging, but even before that, I remember, like, the first conversations, we'd be actually in the middle of sex, and, like, there was dirty talk happening, and you, at one point, had actually brought up in the dirty talk another girl in bed. And I was just like, my dick was hard, but now it was like harder, because
how was that?
That was, well, yes, yeah, well, it's three fingers, but it was, it's like, whoa, what is this? And then I remember you like telling me that you were just like, we were having sex, and you were just kind of, you brought that into the conversation of another woman in bed with us, and it became like super hot, and then suddenly things just that was just a little tiny bit of a stepping stone into moving towards being more open sexually. Not even the fact of bringing other people in, but just being okay to say, hey, sex with others, or sex with other people watching, or watching other people, isn't that big of a deal. Let's just try it out. Because we have seen a lot of people who do just exactly what you were saying, and they come here and they're very, very nervous because they don't know what to expect. Even though, honestly, we've really haven't run into pushy people. Like, if you come here and this was your goal, is just to play with your spouse and just start out and just be in that sexually charged environment, and someone comes up to you and is like, hey, you guys, and actually like hits on you, that it's easy enough to not have to deal with that, to say no thank you or whatever it might be, but realistically that's not too much of an issue.
Well, and you do need to, as always, discuss what your goals and rules are. So obviously, if you're coming here for the first time and it's just you wanting to be in a sexually charged environment with your spouse. Well, obviously you're not going to play with anybody else. So be prepared when someone comes up to you. What are you guys going to say? What are you going to do? How are you going to react? You know, think of those things just in case. People are friendly. They're going to come talk to you whether they want to fuck you or not. People are friendly.
Right.
And so, you know, discuss with each other, well, if someone, you know, we're not there yet, so how do we turn them down? Or, you know, a lot of times when people, they're feeling you out, they'll ask you, you know, what are you into? What do you guys do? Are you soft swap? You know, they want to know the details. Everybody wants to know what everybody else is into. If you say, oh, this is our first time and we're just kind of like getting the lay of the land and checking things out, and we might go in the back with each other, most likely they're going to back off. They're not going to push you into doing something.
No, in fact, it might even go the other direction, and they want to suddenly start this conversation of, ooh, what are you guys doing? What do you like? They want to know where you're at from a standpoint of, this is exciting to see someone just kind of stepping into, just dipping their toes in. We're just like that. I mean, we've had that conversation many times with people who we're talking to. We just randomly start talking to them, and then they say, hey, we've never done anything before, and we are just starting out, and this is where we're at. And we're like, oh, that's so cool. That's exciting. Do you have any questions for us? You know, because we've been around the block. So,
and it's definitely easy enough if you're brand new to this and really I just want to go somewhere sexy with my spouse and fuck my spouse and not really talk to anybody else. That's totally, like, you can do that here. There are many places where the two of you, if you two are just like all over each other and just like obviously closed off, not wanting other people in, they're not going to come in and talk to you maybe. So, you know, but you can still be friendly. But there's definitely, I think, if you're just coming here as like you and your spouse on your little date, you'll definitely have a great time just with all of the amazing energy in this place. And again, you know, they've always got, on the weekends, they've got the DJ, so, you know, you can dance and hang out, and yeah, I think it's a great way to bring it up to your spouse.
And then you just look at it as a stepping stone. If that's just, you know, if you came here on a random Saturday night and you had there was a big crowd of people and there's a lot of sexual energy and you're having a great time and you're dancing on the dance floor, and then you and your spouse go back into the back room and have sex, or just honestly be wandering around back there together because of all the sexual energy that's happening, people moaning and screaming. And,
well, maybe you don't have sex, but you go home and have sex. Nothing wrong with that either.
That usually does happen in those situations, because it honestly, if you've never been around this environment, it is a very sexy environment and it's very arousing. And so I can see that.
But if your spouse isn't ready to do that here, there's no reason why you can't go home and do it. One of the main things you want to keep in mind, though, is definitely communicate with each other after your experience. Obviously, during your experience, stick with your rules. You know, if you are really sure that you're just here just to be with each other and not invite anybody, like, stick to that. Don't change your rules. But then when you leave, talk about it. Talk about your feelings. What happened? What were good things that happened? Were there any negative experiences with this? If you were to come back next week, would it be any different, or would you like to keep the pace? And you know, maybe one of you just is happy with just going and being in that environment, and you're not into swinging. Well, then that's your pace. Doesn't mean that you're going to be like that forever. People change, so always make sure you're communicating with each other after each visit on, you know, how things are going, because that's the only way things will change in that, like, okay, maybe I am ready to do a little soft swap, or okay, we keep going home to have sex, okay, next time I really want to have sex there,
in a quiet private room, and then the next time you're like, what's
okay, up in the bunk bed, and then, you know, who knows,
and then the next time you're in the middle of the big crowd, just right in the middle of the giant beds, and it just moves forward that way. And as long as each time you are having a good time and you both are enjoying yourselves and you are both very comfortable and jealousy isn't really popping up, and if it is, that you're really talking about it so that you can go work your way through that, then you're going to have a good time. And then,
jealousy can come up, feelings like that, but it's important that you know, talk to each other and communicate what's bothering you and why it bothered you, so you can work through it and either move on or move back. There's no problem with moving back in the lifestyle.
Right.
If you start off slow and then you're like, hey, that was awesome, let's go fuck other people, and then you go do that, and maybe one of you is like, oh, okay, I am not there yet, like, I'm not, for whatever reason, it's okay to back up and go back to just being the two of you.
Right.
So as long as you guys everybody's aware of your feelings, you'll have a great time.
Absolutely. So when we talk about starting out, I mean, did you want to talk about a little bit like how we did?
Okay.
So along those same lines, like I had said when we were first years and years ago talking about it, that it started out in little conversations about maybe bringing another person in, as that specifically a woman, as that seems to be the number one way that people start out. Is I definitely see that a lot, where people are like, hey, we want to find a unicorn, we want to bring a woman into our bed, and well, actually, you had never played with another girl ever in college or anything like that. That had never happened, and so we had talked about it a lot, and then we actually ended up at a resort down in Cancun that was also in the same vein of what we're talking about here. Was also a very, very sexually charged atmosphere. That there was a lot of conversation with people about what are you guys into, what do you do, what have you guys ever done, and it was also a topless pool, and so that people were talking about boobs a lot, in the same vein that people will do that here. That will go that jealousy issues they can't really be in the middle of everything, because you see someone's boobs and you go, oh my god, those are amazing. That you actually would, it's okay that I'm looking at some other woman and you are looking at some other man. It's no big deal.
Right.
It's no big deal. And then you were doing a pole contest. They had a pole competition, and of course, since you teach pole dancing here on Wednesdays, and you've been pole dancing for years, and that you destroyed the competition.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And anyway, so the contest was over, and a couple came up to us, and she happened to be a pole dancer as well. So you guys hit it off instantly, talking about just pole tricks and stuff that you do.
Right.
And then as you guys talked for like an hour, but as you guys were doing that, the husband came up to me and he says like, so what are you guys into? And we're like, well, we've talked about it a lot. We want to do maybe just have Bianca, be with another woman, because she's never been with another woman before, and we don't know what'll happen after that point, but we're open to finding out. and so they're like, well, he's like, well, just to let you know, we're swingers. And I'm like, oh wow, really? And I'm like, my eyes are wide up. I'm like, this is cool. And then the guy, like, he goes over to his wife and he like whispers something into her ear, and she looks at us and she nodded. And I'm like, oh my god, I totally know what he just asked her. and then, so yeah, and they're like, hey, if you guys want, Bianca can pop her grilled cherry, and we can go up to your room, and you guys they can play together. And we're like, that sounds awesome. And so they brought us up, or we met them up in our room, and then actually right before they came up to our room, we talked about our rules, and I said, and we hadn't really talked about another guy being involved with this at this point. It had come up a little bit, but it was really more along the lines of if a girl happened to do it. But for whatever reason, maybe it's because we were talking to them for so long, I felt very, very comfortable with the guy, which is usually the toughest part for a couples to get past. Is another guy going to be a problem as far as jealousy concerns are there? And I felt so comfortable with him that it wasn't an issue. And I said to you, I'm like, just to let you know, if things go that direction, I would be okay if you played with the guy.
No, I think it was more of a give him a blowjob.
Yeah, well, okay, sure. If you give him a blowjob.
Sex wasn't.
Yeah, you're probably right. So yeah, it was. But if you gave him a blowjob and you were like, what, really? And I'm like, yeah, no, they're cool. That's fine. I feel really comfortable with it. And you're like, well, okay, well, if it goes that direction. And then so the girl started playing, and you took to it like you had been doing it for years. Oh, I'm so proud of you. And then it kind of boiled into like a soft swap, where everybody was giving oral to the other people's spouses, and it was awesome. And I didn't feel any jealousy, and you didn't either. And then they left. That's all we did, which was still awesome. Then they left, and then like we immediately like high-fived each other, and we're like, we're swingers, woo! Yeah, it was awesome. And then literally the next day we were still on vacation, and we were looking up at home, like, how do I find places at home when we get back to Seattle that are this type of environment, because there must be something like that. And there was, and Sapphire was actually one of them that we found, and it was probably 3 months later after that we went to the first Sapphire event, and we had an amazing time, and we actually had our first full swap at a Sapphire event.
We did.
That's right. Wow, okay, yeah.
One thing I just want to say is every single couple's journey is different.
Mm-hmm.
Don't compare yourself to anybody else's journey. You have to work with what you are comfortable with as a couple,
right.
And go at your couple's pace. Or as we like to say, whoever is the more conservative person, that's the pace that we go at.
Yeah, no matter what.
Sometimes it'll be me that's more conservative, or sometimes it'll be Matt that's more conservative. It just depends on the situation and where we are and the mood for the night or whatever. There are nights where I'm just like, I don't mind going and socializing, but I really don't want to play for whatever reason, whether I'm just not feeling it or I'm just whatever. And so that's what we do.
And
and that's okay.
Right. And one last thing that we want to focus on is making sure that you don't have expectations.
Right.
Because that is the one thing that'll kill everything right from the get-go. Is if you came and you were like, you were so gung-ho, but your spouse was a little bit more conservative there about that thing, and you're like, come on, honey, let's go do this, and she's feeling very uncomfortable, that it could actually backfire and things would get much, much worse. So if you don't have expectations of either, whatever it might be, playing with another couple, or just even playing in a public space, or even playing here at all, you just kind of go with the flow. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it really is no big deal. There's always next time. That's really, really important to know, to make sure that you have a good time. Yeah. So now, if you have any questions for us, or a topic that you'd like us to talk about in a future video, please feel free to email us at that address right down there. We're checking that, and we'd love to talk more about swinging in general, or
answer any questions about the club, or the lifestyle.
Yeah, we love it here. We're here all the time. She teaches pole dancing. We're here most Saturdays, and it's awesome. And if you, of course, see us at the club, make sure you come and say hi to us, because we're friendly. Otherwise, of course, check out Sapphire's event page. They have some really cool things coming up soon, and they update that all the time. So it's fun to see what the next big Saturday night event is. And join the Facebook group. And anything else you want to say?
No.
No.
I think
all
we
right.
got it covered.
All right. Perfect. Well, thanks so much for watching, and we'll
see you around.
See you next time.